Okay, so this is an example of a drawing with two different types of lighting, two different light sources here. So we have the stark light coming from the door here. We have a diffuse kind of moonlight coming from the window. And these two sources of light are converging upon this figure here, this sleep paralysis demon thing. So, as you can see, the stark light, it's just very vivid white. So you would say the intensity of this light is very high, the highest it could be. And for the moonlight here, this more diffuse, it's kind of a more gentle lighting. This was accomplished using stippling, a technique that I've demonstrated before, which is basically a lot of you're just making dots. And by using dots, you can kind of create a gradient effect. So, these deeper shadows, you're going to use a larger grade marker, like a Sharpie, and you're gradually going to come down to a more fine point. Okay, so the composition of this, I think it makes for an interesting composition. You have these two extremes here, and then you have in the center, they're kind of both hitting the same thing. And this would be an example of what's called symmetry. So, you'll see symmetry in a lot of different artwork, and it's very pleasing to the eye. A good example of symmetry in film would be Stanley Kubrick. He uses that a lot. And, just to talk about light some more. So this figure here, he is the closest thing to the viewer, the person who would be observing this scene going on here. So, of course he's getting lit by these different forms of light here, but, he's far away from them. So, he's gonna appear darker because he's in front of these light sources, but they're still gonna be lighting him. So as you can see, some of this light from the hallway here is kind of illuminating the side of him that is, facing the hallway. And, you can see the moonlight coming from here. You can see it kind of reflected in his eyes a little bit. And of course his shadow over here, which is kind of like a long, dramatic, like Nosferatu-esque shadow. And, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to rely on realism too much. It's more like once you know the principles behind things, you can kind of do what you want with them. So, in my opinion, it's more important that, whatever you're making looks good than if it's completely accurate. because that's not really my style. Like I'm not one for extreme realism in artwork. I don't see the point in that. I think the realism should serve what you want to do. You know, it should. You should be able to bend the rules. So, you know, this obviously that doesn't look like a real shadow, but I think it goes well with the hallway. It's like symmetrical almost, and it's kind of creates like an ominous sort of mood. But yeah, stippling is a very it's very tedious, but it's a very cool effect. It gives it almost like a sort of like a death metal type look. Or some kind of extreme metal album cover kind of look. Very like organic type effect to it. And yeah. So hopefully this gave you a little more insight into lighting in drawing or painting. But yeah, I'll go into more detail on this. And if you'd like to, you know, see more of this, I'll put this on Instagram. You can go take a look at it over there. So I'll leave the link in the description for that. Okay, have a good day.